think it might actually be worth upgrading an Arsenal player to another Arsenal player, even for a hit this game week. I have got 2 free transfers at my disposal, which I might go ahead and use as well. And I've got a benching headache with who to actually start. Building from the back, Ederson's got a double game week against Villa at home and Arsenal away. I'm happy with that selection for now. Ward keeps the goalkeeper seat on the bench nice and warm as usual. He's got quite a difficult fixture against Spurs at home. What I'm going to do going forward is discuss players that aren't actually in my team as well, who I think are good picks. You might already have them in your team, or you might be considering bringing them in. Thanks to Nama9 for the suggestion on Twitter. It is a good point to be fair because you've not all got a similar team to me. You're going to hear quite a lot of Arsenal suggestions because there's a lot of value in the players and they've got plenty of fixtures coming up. In the goalkeeper position, I do like Ramsdale. He's only 4.9 mil, but obviously with the Arsenal triple up, I'd rather have attacking players, 3 of them to be precise. I'd have Odegaard, Saka and Nketiah. So considering your Arsenal slots are better elsewhere in your team for a higher ceiling, I still like Kepa for 4.6 mil and Pickford for 4.4 mil. I say that because both goalkeepers playing blank game week 25, they also playing blank game week 28 and are favourable to get a fixture in double game week 29. Not only that, the ceiling is low in the goalkeeper position and you're not going to captain that player, so the points per million are really important, and for 4.5 mil, these two are probably going to offer quite a lot. Ward is a strong long-term backup, but to be fair, Lloris has just got injured for Spurs, which means that Forster's probably going to play for them. He's only 3.9 mil, which is dirt cheap for a Spurs goalkeeper. Personally, I don't think it's worth a free transfer. If I was on a wildcard, I'd bring him in, possibly as my first team goalkeeper if I needed to free up some funds. But it is something to consider if you're bench boosting in double game week 29, that's if Lloris is still sidelined. And it does depend on Spurs having a double game week. There's around about a 30 to 40% chance of that occurring. In defence, the benching headache starts. I'm starting Dunk against Palace away instead of Shaw against Leeds away. There are quite a few factors to consider. Brighton and United have similar defensive numbers, but Palace aren't as good going forward as Leeds. And with that, Brighton's clean sheet odds are roughly 5% higher. Shaw offers a little bit more attacking threat, but there's barely any difference there, not enough to compensate, and I'd say that Dunk edges it, but only just. When you see my other starting defenders, you'll see why it was a benching headache between just Dunk and Shaw. One of which is Trippier against Bournemouth away. I'm not going to spend any time discussing him because we've all got him and he's got a decent fixture. And to complete my defence with a double game week is Akanji. I actually brought him in for Cancelo last game week as a luxury transfer because he had 2 free transfers, sat him on the bench, so I can play him this game week in the double. He's currently got the highest expected minutes of any City defender, so he's staying in my team for the foreseeable future. When I do sell him, it's probably going to be ahead of blank game week 28 because City are expected to blank, but to be fair, I might be playing my free hit and he might stay in my team, it just depends on his minutes. My last defender taking the 3rd slot on the bench because he's injured is Patterson. Like I said last game week, he's worth keeping for now. He's due back in game week 24. Hopefully he plays in double game week 25. If not, you could get Tarkowski for 4.2 mil. It is important that Everton are one of very few teams that have got a fixture in blank game week 28, which is the biggest blank of the season. Just like the goalkeeper position, I do think the best defender to own is an Arsenal player, and that's Gabriel. If you own White, he is a rotation risk. So if you can get to Gabriel in one free transfer, that's ideal. I'd probably even take a hit as well, because I think he'll outscore him by at least 4 points in the upcoming fixtures. Reece James is now back on the radar after returning from injury. Don't forget that Chelsea playing the blank game week 25, blank game week 28, and they'll probably double in game week 29 as well. It feels a bit stupid saying this at this moment in time, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think Alexander-Arnold's becoming an option again because Liverpool double in game week 25. I'm actually considering bringing him in. I've got plenty of money in the bank, and it might be Shaw that makes way because he does blank in that game week. I'm almost certainly going to bring in Salah for double game week 25, and I might even captain him. I know most people won't agree that he's in the consideration at the minute, but in 3 game weeks time I think most people will be considering him. I've got plenty of money in the bank so I can easily get to him, but the player that's going to make way is the first player in my midfield. It's Bruno Fernandes. I have thought about making that transfer this game week because I do have 2 free transfers, so I've looked at the next 2 fixtures up until game week 25. Bruno faces Leeds away and Leicester at home, which are 2 favourable fixtures. And that's whilst Salah faces Everton at home in the Merseyside derby. You could look at that 2 ways. You could say it's an easy fixture because Everton's defensive numbers aren't that good, which is a fair point. But to be fair, Everton's got Dyche now. They're set up pretty well defensively in that first match. They beat top of the league, and that's whilst Liverpool got beat against Wolves 3-0. You could say that's just a narrative, so for argument's sake, we will say that's a decent fixture. But in the fixture after that, they've got Newcastle away, which is really difficult from an attacking perspective. I think Bruno outscores Salah over the next 2 game weeks. If I make that transfer, it will be directly before game week 25. That's when Bruno blanks and Salah doubles. For now, Bruno has an easy fixture against Leeds away, and so does his teammate Rashford. He's a few mil cheaper than Bruno, and he offers a lot of value for money, so he'll be staying in my team. Someone who has offered a lot of value for money for my team up until this point is Martinelli, and I'll actually be selling him ahead of the double game week. I'm not saying that he'll definitely get dropped or rotated too much, but he is a rotation risk with Trossard, therefore Odegaard's got higher expected minutes. I do value expected minutes very highly. You want your players playing as much as they possibly can so they get the highest possible output. With Arsenal having so many upcoming fixtures, I think Odegaard will outscore Martinelli by at least 4 points in the upcoming fixtures, so a free transfer is definitely worth it, and I think a hit is as well. His third teammate Saka, who completes the midfield, I believe he's the best option from Arsenal because he's got the high ceiling and he's nailed on to play. He does put in a strong contention for the captain's armband in double game week 25 as well. My last midfielder is sat on the bench. It's Andreas Pereira against Forest at home. I didn't really want to bench him with that fixture, but with my attacking players there's no room in the starting lineup for him. I've got Shaw behind him on the bench because he's got a lower ceiling. Up front is another double game week player, completing the Arsenal triple up, it's Nketiah. I'm enjoying having him in the team for now for just 6.5 mil. He's an absolute bargain, but I might have to sell him when Jesus returns. I'll keep monitoring Nketiah's expected minutes going forward, but he might even keep his spot because he's been playing well. My second forward is Mitrovic against Forest at home. I do fancy him in that fixture, but he's not returned in the last few matches. I think he's worth keeping for now. He is only 7 million and I don't think there's many forwards who will compete with his points per million going forward. Plays in blank game week 25. He'll probably play in blank game week 28, but he's expected to blank in double game week 29, and that's probably when I will sell him. A forward I have considered for future plans is Darwin Núñez. I don't think it's worth it though. You've got Jota, Diaz and Firmino all coming back from injuries very soon. My last player completes the team with a double game week, it's Haaland. If you've got your triple captain chip left, what you need to consider is how many minutes you think he'll play in that first fixture. It is against Villa at home, then a few days later they've got Arsenal away at the Emirates in the title race. So if City are winning that first match, it's likely that he will be dragged off the pitch and wrapped in cotton wool for that massive fixture. So my advice is not to use the triple captain chip this game week, but if you think he will play plenty of minutes in that first fixture, go ahead and play it. I get that Haaland blanked in his last match, but it was against Spurs away. The fixture before that, he only played for an hour, he got a hat-trick, and the game before that he scored a goal. So you can even argue that the form's still there. He's definitely going to be my captain this game week. If you found this video informative, make sure you hit that subscribe button because I'm going to be producing these team selection videos every game week and you don't want to miss them.